Welcome to the Market Mystics podcast, where we discuss what's happening in the cryptosphere and trading on Earth as it is in heaven. Buckle up and huddle on while we dive in and get weird. Here are your hosts, Joshua and Kim.
Good Monday, everybody out there. Actually, it might not be Monday when you listen to this, but it's Monday while we're recording it. So, happy Monday before Christmas. How's it going, Kim?
It's going well. It's going well.
Yeah.
I had to laugh when we first started recording. You have this part of your background, just looks like your hair's flipping up. And I quite enjoy that. It's fun.
It kind of is. It's an interesting hair day. So I recommend everybody listen to this in audio format.
That's right. Speaking of interesting hair days, I was yesterday. Okay, this is just some personal information, but I'm going to share it because I thought it was funny. I blow dried my hair, which is not a normal thing. I usually just let it air dry because I'm not into spending that much time.
Sure.
I just don't like investing my time in that. But I did blow dry it yesterday, and I blow dried it with my head upside down. And when I flipped back over and looked in the mirror, my hair was like literally sticking straight out and straight up. Like there was none of it hanging down. And I was like, ooh, Kim, it's a good look.
It's a good look. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, before we get into today's conversation, I'll just run through a few quick market updates. We've got Bitcoin sitting up massively at 0.1% in 24 hours, down about 2% over 7 days. Currently at 16,722, which means we broke below the 17 line again. Ethereum up about 0.8% in 24 hours, down 6% over 7 days, currently at 1185. You know, a lot of times the markets kind of cool off towards the end of the year because nobody's doing anything. But I didn't necessarily expect them to go down. I sort of just thought they might stay a little bit stable. And then our top mover barely made the top 100. It is XDC, the XDC network. It is up 9.2%. Again, not being able to hit double digits in our top movers, but it's up 15.7% in 7 days. Currently trading at, is that 2.5 cents? Just skyrocketing out of there. The XDC token is the underlying utility token that powers XFin's hybrid blockchain. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can look up the XDC token.
True. To be quite honest, when I was looking up the top mover today, I saw this and I thought, XDC, that sounds a lot like ecstasy. Like, what kind of token is this? I've seen some shady looking tokens out there before. And I was like, what the heck is this ecstasy token? And then it's really very innocent. But it did make me question it. I thought that had to be intentional. XDC.
Yeah. I remember a while back there was a coin token that we were all looking at that was called 777. And I was like, oh, it has to do with religion and faith and 7 being the number of perfection. And it was an online gambling coin. It was meant to be the slots.
Yes. I think my dad bought into that one.
That's awesome. I hope it hit his lucky numbers.
It must have. I don't know.
That's funny. Well, today we don't have a overarching topic. We sort of just wanted to have a conversation. May end up being a pretty short episode, but just we've had a lot going on recently. We've had 3 interviews in quick succession, a couple interviews prior to that. We're planning some more for next year as well. But we may just kind of have shorter, slower episodes in between now and the beginning of next year. And then in February, we hope to have some we're going to start our new season and hope to have some pretty fun new content for you guys.
True. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about a little bit. I just want to touch on this and then we can go wherever
Yeah.
we want to go. So last week, Josh and I did some really good seeking with the Lord together over the podcast and where it's going and the business that's behind the podcast and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting because we got part of the blueprint and everything started with the C, which I found to be really interesting. I think you did too.
Yeah.
We both tend to have things to do with water for whatever reason. It's a funny thing because we live in Kansas, which is
Right. Nowhere near the water.
Right. I think it's an 11-hour drive to the closest seashore from here. So, but anyway, then this weekend, Avatar, the second movie, The Way of the Water came out, and I went and saw it. And it was so much about the sea. And I was just like, oh Lord, I see what you're doing here. Like, and then I saw all these kingdom principles in it. And I kind of loved it. And I kind of love, the reason I'm bringing it up is I love the way that he'll tie things together. And though what I'm receiving from it may not be the same as what you have received from it or what anyone else in the theater received from it or didn't receive from it, I just kind of love those little things where he gives like little sweet kisses of confirmation. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a line. I'll try not to like have any spoilers because it just came out. So, but there's a line where they are teaching each other how to breathe before entering the water. And I'm not going to get it exactly correct, but it's kind of like water is where you came from before you were here. Water is where you return to. And this is what I thought was interesting. Water is the connection of everything, or the connecting point of everything. And it is fascinating because, the human body is majoritarily water. Water is in every living being, every plant. It is maybe the most common denominator of everything that's made up. And so it's fascinating to see how they wove that narrative into the storyline and what they did with it. And I just thought it was, yeah, there were so many parallels, but I thought that it was so timely because we had just met. We had been talking about water and the sea, and here is the way of the water. And I was like, oh man. So I definitely went and saw it this weekend too.
Yep, same. We did not go together, but I saw it and I was like, you've got to tell me what you think about it.
Yes.
My family and I went on Friday when it came out. I think we all loved it. My 6-year-old even didn't ask to leave once during the 3-hour movie, which is impressive.
How did she handle with some of the more violent scenes? Was she chill with it?
She was fine.
There was a kid behind me when I watched it that was screaming, "Mommy, take me out of the theater." And I felt so bad. I was like, oh man, like such a good movie, but there are a few more violent scenes and the young lady behind me was not appreciating it.
Yeah. This is what I found. And maybe this is obviously only from my perspective. Typically, if I'm doing something with her and I'm with her, she's fine. If she experiences something apart from me or her dad, then she will get kind of more like normal kid scared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if we're with her,
Right.
she's usually she's fine. And I think during the most violent part of the movie, which the whole movie was not violent, by the way, right. I think she was digging in her popcorn bowl for a piece of candy. She mixed them in and they wound up being at the bottom because there were a couple times that her dad and I were both like, are you okay? You're doing all right? She's like, I'm fine. It's good.
That's awesome. So what would you say your biggest takeaway from the movie was? Like, what stuck with you the most?
Oh, this is a good question. I'm a bad person to ask a surprise question to because then I want to think about it. And I really want to give you a good answer. There was, I think there was something about, I don't know. There was a lot. There was a lot of finding commonality even among different tribes
Yeah.
that I thought was really great. Um, there was stuff about being grafted in. I
Mhm.
would call it grafted in. They did not call it that. That I thought kind of hit hard and went deeper than, like, if you look at it from that perspective, it goes deeper than just surface level. And there's still stuff I want to unpack, but I'm not going to talk about it because it will be a spoiler.
Yeah, yeah. There's one part where one of the characters is learning the flow of being like one with the god in the movie, and it's like the breath and the movement, like creation is responding to it. And I thought that was so fascinating, and this is why I think it's fascinating. This weekend I was also at an event where I was learning from some people, and they made the comment, as you learn your true identity, and as you come to a realization of your union with Yahweh, and then you start to speak to creation, it responds not out of obedience, not out of a command, but it responds because it hears the voice of its creator, and it will willingly do anything for its creator. And I just thought that that was like an amazing way of looking at it. It was like, yeah, it's not like we read the verse, it's like, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can tell that mountain to be moved and it will move. And it's like, I've always read that as like, oh, I can tell things what to do. But it was like, no, it's like this union and this love that is birthed out of, um, in just the, like, because I'm so aware of my union with Yahweh, that when I speak, I'm speaking His voice. And I just thought that was amazing. But I saw parallels to that in the movie where this person is learning that creation moves with them, creation responds to them. And I just thought that that was such a amazing piece in the puzzle.
I agree. I agree with that. What else? What else did you take away from it?
Yeah, the breath thing where it's like learning about water, the responding to creation. And there's a lot about family and how family can be messy, but family can also be this beautiful, safe place for you to grow. And that family isn't necessarily always blood, but it, like you said, kind of grafted in. Like there's elements of that where it's different tribes, different species, different, just all sorts of differences that make up family. And I just thought that that was, I thought it was significant. Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, we talk all the time about union and things like that, and that was a core thing, was like, um, the unity of family. And I think family is it's a key that's being released right now, and it's being released in a way that maybe isn't the traditional way we've talked about it.
I think you're right. I I came out of it thinking, man, Disney, how do you get these spiritual truths? Because there's also all these conspiracies. Like, some Christians really hate Disney because they're the root of all evil or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Those are not my words. Those were quote fingers, and I don't actually believe that. But there's so much darkness that is in some of their stuff. right?
Mm,
But then there's also a lot of spiritual truth if you look for it. And this was one of those movies that I was like, I mean, if you're listening for truth, you'll find it. And those were
mhm,
the eyes that I was going in with. And so I guess that's what I was seeing. Um, but I found that really interesting. But I don't know. Like, I don't know sometimes how these things get released, but I think that people have ears to hear, then they hear it. And then obviously, you can look at a lot of different Disney movies and see truths, like spiritual truths, whether uh for the side of life or not.
mm,
There are some spiritual truths and some other stuff. But it's like if you'll listen, um then you'll probably get them. And they just happen to have a platform to be able to release it. Um and I find that interesting, but I think you're right with the family thing, like this different key of what family is. And I see it, I don't know, I see it more and more in my life recently. Like, okay, in this movie, they have what they call spiritual brothers or sisters, which is not a
mhm.
new concept. Like,
Right.
exactly, totally not a new concept. But it crosses some lines that I don't know that a lot of people in the traditional Christian world are ready to cross,
Mm,
and like what that could be or what that couldn't be. And I found that to be really interesting, but I think this is part of it. Like, I think the Lord really is releasing something new with family, like allowing for those deep familial bonds to happen beyond blood or beyond natural blood, I would say.
mm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, the bond, I would say kind of the bond beyond the natural was that it you came from AWA in that particular thing.
Mhm.
And that's honestly, if you go to the root of we teach, Christianity teaches that everybody came from Yahweh, but we don't always treat people that way. We
Right.
don't always treat people as our brothers and sisters and as like animals and other things as being from the same place. And that is, yeah, I think just that realization that coming into that awareness creates such an ability for that change.
For sure. For sure. Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Hope you guys go and watch this movie.
Yeah, would highly
I would
recommend it.
highly recommend it.
Yeah. Not
I
sponsored, but James Cameron, if you're interested,
That's funny.
just our opinion that it's a great show.
Agreed. And I would suggest, I mean, take it or leave it. I would suggest going and, focusing on the Lord before you get there and asking him to be in it with you
Mm,
and to reveal his truths to you through it. I think you can do this in any movie, in any situation, whatever. Like, if you go to something that you don't usually go to, and maybe you have really low expectations or you think it's going to be terrible, maybe just take a step back and ask him to show you some truth through it. It
yeah.
helps a lot with perspective. It
Yeah.
helps a lot with like not prejudging, and it helps a lot with finding commonalities where you think there will be none.
I agree.
Mm.
Again, our song of unity continues. That is our focus. It is our love. Um, it is just the journey we're on to come into the realization that we are one.
Truth.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. We will see you guys soon.
Thank you for listening. Join us every Monday and Thursday as we discuss trading on earth as it is in heaven. If you want to connect further, follow us on social media at market.mystics for Instagram and TikTok, and search for Market Mystics on YouTube and Facebook. If you still need more, follow the link on Facebook to book a coaching appointment. Until next time, see ya.